Brought to you by Express Care Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Happy day and welcome back to Healthy Living. If you're just joining us, we are talking about allergies with Express Care's Dr. Jitka Lom, who's in studio to give us the lowdown on all things allergy and how to treat those attacks when they come. Let's now get to some of our viewer questions on this topic. Mary from Dedido asks, is it true that people with some medical conditions are more prone to having allergies than others, and what are those medical conditions?
Sure, yes, it is true. People with asthma and allergies, those two things tend to go together, hay fever. People with aspirin allergy also tend to have more problems with hay fever. So yeah, sort of more sensitive individuals. Also people with lots of other health conditions and they're on multiple medications, that tends to make them also more sensitive.
Okay. Larry from Ordet asks, and this is a funny one, I've heard that people can be allergic to cockroaches. Is this true and why?
Yes, it is. Great question. Yeah, cockroach droppings are incredibly hyperallergenic to people. And, you know, on Guam we have some problems with cockroaches around the world actually. And what you're allergic to are actually the droppings of the cockroach. And I read that if you have one cockroach in your house, there's probably 800 others hidden someplace.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. So there's a lot of cockroach droppings, and that can really, really aggravate your asthma, and especially asthma, but also allergies.
So
yeah,
fumigate
fumigation.
your house. That's horrible. Jonathan from Manila asks, what's the difference between an antihistamine, which you mentioned, and a decongestant, and which do I use to treat my allergies?
Another great question. Okay, so the antihistamine is to stop that histamine from being released. That's to stop the allergic reaction from progressing, meaning it can be used as prevention rather than treatment, meaning that you can basically use that every day. It's very safe. You can continue all through the rainy season or as long as you need to. Now, decongestant deals with when the allergic reaction has already happened. So you have the runny nose and the itchy eyes and stuff. And there you can take Sudafed or some similar oxymetazoline, something like that over the counter, which will dry up your mucous membranes. So they're two different things, but they can be used together and safely.
Okay. Rita from Tumon asks, how do I know if my toddler has food allergies?
Well, after feeding your toddler something or other, you might notice that they break out, they get kind of red on their face, and they may even develop a rash. But this is usually delayed a few days later, especially if we're thinking about eczema. Some children will have an allergy to food, so you'll feed them peas, and 2 or 3 days later you'll notice that they have a really nasty rash on their forearms or legs, and that's a different kind of reaction. It is difficult to identify because you have to be really paying attention to what your child's eating and keeping a diary.
So maybe just feeding the same thing a couple days in a row.
It's really best if you're introducing babies to new foods, it's best to give them the same food for 3 or 4 days to see, okay, this is okay. Babies don't need variety like adults do. So they don't care if you feed them peas, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? So do that for 3 or 4 days, and then you see, okay, that food's fine, and then you move on to the next food. And that saves you so much trouble down the road because you'll know what your child is sensitive to, and you won't have to do the opposite, which is an elimination diet, trying to take things away.
Okay, Vince from Maina asks, I normally use Claritin or Benadryl for my allergies. Are generic drugs just as good?
Yes, they really are. No problem there.
Okay, and just one last thing is, you know, I've noticed that when I get allergies, my throat gets itchy. How do you, so, you know, I'll pop a Claritin, but a Claritin takes, you know, maybe 30 minutes to kick in.
Yeah.
What can be done to immediately rid that?
That's a tough one. I would say maybe ice, if you've tried ice. The reason your throat is itchy is because there's lymph tissue back there that has swollen. Just like your nose will swell and drip, the back of your throat has the same kind of tissue back there that will also swell. So to reduce swelling, the only thing I can think of quickly would be ice. And then, you know, waiting for your medicine to start working.
All right, any last messages that you want to get out about allergies?
Yeah, I think prevention is really the best way to go as always. So if you know that you're allergic to certain things, certain times of the year, be prepared. If it's seasonal, you can start taking your medication every day to help prevent that unpleasantness. And if it's something in your home, then maybe you need to dust and clean a little bit more. Also cleaning the aircon, that's one big one.
But also fumigate your house.
Yeah.
that stuck with me.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Doc, for all the information. Dr. Lom
Okay.
will be back again with us next week, and we're going to be talking about preparing for surgery.